Welcome to episode 3 of content curation. Wow, I've done 3 of these already. Well, I'm doing 3 now with Godless Engineer. Good evening, Godless Engineer. How are you, sir?
Hi, how's everybody doing?
Um, this show, for people who are new to it, is where I talk to creators about the content creation process, about what inspired them, about what brought them into the space. Um, and that's kind of where I would like to start with you is what, first of all, thanks for being here, obviously, but what brought you to YouTube?
Good question. So I had started my Facebook page out of the need for me to have a space where I could, discuss my new worldview of not believing in God and all of the other things that eventually came with that. I kind of needed an online space in order to talk about those things. And so I created the Facebook page and it started to get pretty popular. And then I, started to really want to get into like online discussions on YouTube and eventually start making my own content because, I was watching other people do the content and I was like, I can do this. Like this is, I can respond to a video.
Sure.
And, I kind of I felt like at that point I was getting into doing some activism kind of work. Like I was interacting with people, I was talking with people, I was helping people through things at that point. I had a group that had been pretty big for a while, and we helped people in the group and everything like that. So I felt like taking my activism to kind of another level, and that's by starting to produce videos for YouTube. And I kind of dipped my toe in it a little bit at first, and I made a lot of mistakes.
Mm.
That if I had to go back and redo things, I would. There's a bunch of things that I would probably do differently, but
And we're going to talk about that, but keep going.
yeah. But what got me there was just basically me wanting to be more vocal, to be a strong voice in the community, to be somebody who's not afraid to show their face, and I guess give people that kind of, or at least inspire the kind of confidence that I have for my positions, for what I believe in and what I don't believe in. And that was in general what kind of drove me to start
Sure.
YouTube stuff.
And it's terrifying. Like when you make that decision, I'm going to put my opinions and thoughts and ideas out in public where other people are going to be able to criticize them and say basically anything that they want. That's not, obviously violates YouTube's term of service, but they can criticize those ideas. They can challenge them, challenge my convictions, challenge my entire worldview. That can be scary. I remember the first time, actually, you and I did a video on your channel about Trump and LGBTQ rights. And I remember how nervous I was doing it with you. I was so, I was like shivering. I was so scared. And it wasn't necessarily that I didn't believe in what we were talking about, or I didn't believe it was a good thing to talk about. It was more about, what are people going to say about this? How do you confront those when those ideas come up in your head? Like, how do you beat them back?
Well, I still get those kind of fears now whenever I'm putting something out there, and generally, the way that I go about it is that I try to remember that I'm probably going to be wrong. Like, most assuredly, at some point, no matter how much I prepare for something, I'm going to be wrong. And so, if I put it out there and I am wrong about something, or somebody legitimately criticizes something I say, I try to isolate the constructive criticism from the just toxic ones.
Right.
And the stage fright of it all, I've had a little bit of that, I guess, but it's never really been a big issue for me. the best way that I can think of to overcome it, though, is to just keep like pushing yourself to do it. Even because I get this way in other areas of my life where I'm scared to go and do something or whatnot, but
Yes.
I don't let being scared, stop me from doing it.
Sure.
I realize that I'm probably going to make mistakes, but that it's okay to make mistakes. And that as long as you learn from your mistakes and you improve, then you can only get better,
Right.
And so I try to keep that in mind so that I'm not expecting perfection or I'm not expecting to just not screw up at all. It kind of takes some of the pressure off a little bit, and realizing that as long as you grow from it and you understand what you did wrong or how you can do it better, in the end it's always going to be a good outcome.
Yeah, and I think, and I want to get into this, but I think one of the major topics that we've covered so far in the series, and I want your thoughts on this, is people who are scared to start. We're always scared to start new things. They say when you do something the first time, it's an action, and then when you do it more, it becomes a trend, and then after that, it becomes a habit. And it's that path of taking something as a new action and creating a habit out of it is how you get to become a prolific content creator. Was that something that was intentional for you, or did it just kind of happen?
I would say that it was very intentional for me because uh, I guess one of the things about making it a habit is being consistent in your content creation, and by that I mean like consistent in what times and days that you post, consistent in the quality that you provide, just consistent all around, and so you know. Doing things once or twice would be actions, and then you start getting into a nice groove, and then it turning into a habit. Those are most definitely things that you have to like consciously think about whenever you're trying to, you know, when you're trying to produce content in a way that people want to consume it, you're
Mm,
going to have to, get into the habit of doing a lot of things that you might not think are are important to do. Like another one of the big things is posting times and when you post and having like a schedule and stuff. That's really it's an important habit to form because then people know when generally to expect you to post a video.
right.
So even if it's just like once a week, getting into the habit of posting once a week trains other, your viewers
Mhm.
to expect it that once a week time frame.
Right.
And but for me, I just produce content every single day, it seems. So
I
any
remember.
day you'll be able to see the content.
Yes, I remember when I, I started my channel like a year and a half ago. So it was before then because I was subscribed to you before I ever started the channel. And I remember I was starting to think about making a channel of my own and realizing that you basically put out a video every day. And think in my head, like, how does he do that? So I'm finally have you sat down in front of me. How in the hell do you do that?
Well, so if you'll notice, I usually do right now currently that I've habitually had two videos that are recorded a week generally,
Mhm.
and then I have the podcast that airs on Tuesdays. The two podcasts, anyways. And then Thursday and Friday, I usually have an easy to produce kind of video. Like either it's a clip from a much longer stream, or a or something that I've done on another channel, or it'll be like a sort of a director's cut of one of my live streams.
Okay.
And so those are really easy bits of content to create. Like for tomorrow, I was on the line. I don't know if you've
Mhm.
seen that going around. It's Jimmy
Yeah.
Snow's Collins show.
Yeah. It's fantastic.
Um,
Fantastic show.
yeah, I love it.
Mhm.
But I was on it not yeah, this past Sunday, I was on it to talk to people about why they believe in God and stuff.
Mhm.
And so there were some really good conversations in that. There was one good one where, a guy thought that we all had a soul and somehow that proves God, or he thought he had a good reason why God exists. And so all I've really got to do is I pulled that down, I cut that section out of it, and I put some nice little end caps on it, and then I've produced a piece of content that's not already on my channel that people have mostly not seen.
Right.
But that also works for previous live streams. It's kind of the same concept that the Atheist Experience and the Line kind of do, just tweaked a little bit, because with live streams, people consume them immediately. Depending on the type of live stream that it is, there's a good chance that you could repurpose it by cutting it up, adding some more information in, or adding some kind of like transitions or effects, or just provide a different viewing experience in general.
Right.
And you can recut that up and then put it back on the channel, like maybe 2 months or so after it aired, because by that time the people that are watching your live streams will recognize it, but will also get a different viewing experience. But then new people that come to your channel that haven't seen all your live streams or haven't been there for the longest time, they will be consuming new content to them. And then you can push that, you can use that as a vehicle to push people to your older content so that they kind of get caught up. And so I generally use the later half of the week for those types of posts, and the earlier to midweek for the newer content that I've either scripted up or done one of my, I guess, sort of free form type of videos that normally don't go all that well. But yeah, so I mean that's generally how I get it. I record my content in what's called a block recording, where I basically record all my videos somewhat at once, and I have them ready to edit, so that whenever I have the time to edit, I edit them up, and I stick to my schedule of 5 days a week, and I have content that's easily repurposed, or I can easily make content for my channel from it.
And you said something there that I think is really, really, really key. And if anyone wants to start creating content, I want you to listen to this one little phrase: stick to my schedule. Because if you don't, like my day, I will not lie to you, especially now that I've got my license and I'm doing like big boy work. My day, my schedule starts at 8:30 in the morning and finishes at 10 at night every single day, even Saturdays and Sundays. My entire life is scheduled out. Now, there's white space in there, right? Like there's a block on Tuesday nights. It's like 7 to 11 that says YouTube, right? So it's not like every single moment. But that means from 7 to 11 on that night, I'm doing YouTube stuff. That might be hanging out in the Discord with people. It might be playing on Twitch. It might be producing a video or scripting a video or something. And can you talk for a minute about how vital a schedule is when you're creating content?
Yeah. Well, I mean, having a schedule either for, producing content or like a schedule on your actual channel, having a schedule for, you producing the content is very important, because then you have you have a guaranteed amount of time that you can produce, something for your channel, your brand, or whatever you're trying to do. Sure. You have this block of time that's dedicated to that, and you can get it done instead of just sporadically doing it, throughout the day. You may be productive, you may not be productive. This kind of just ensures that you consistently are productive. And then like a schedule for the channel is really more to train your viewers to expect videos at a certain time so that they know that they can consume them. So like when people wake up, let's say they're on the eastern seaboard of the United States, they wake up and they get started on their day, and it comes to be about 10:30 or it comes to be about lunch, they'll just innately know, oh, GE's posted a video, or GE's premiering a video, right, or should be premiering a video right now.
Right.
And they can go and they can look and they can see when it's scheduled for, or if it's already posted or anything like that. Because most of the time, people get suggested videos more often than they like actually go to your channel to find a video.
Sure.
Or arrive there from their subscription feed even. I mean, I don't know how many people use the subscription feed a lot now, but I know me, I use the subscription feed a lot, but also a lot of people just hop from suggested video to suggested video. I've noticed that in comments that people make. So, training your audience to expect your videos at a certain time will help increase, immediate views as opposed to like long-term views. And then, keeping a schedule for yourself just allows you to consistently be able to produce the content to put on your channel.
You talked a little bit earlier about some of the mistakes that you made, and I was wondering if we could delve into that for a few minutes. What do you think of the 3 like worst mistakes that you made when you started your channel?
Well, if anybody goes back and watches one of my first videos that I actually not so much scripted up, but I just sort of did one of those free-form recording kind of things. And I remember it very specifically because Hemant Mehta had raised a whole lot of money for a library, and the library rejected his donation because he was an atheist. Yeah.
Interesting.
And so I was pissed off. Yeah. And I was kind of still in this time frame of being one of those obnoxious, pissed off atheist type of people, and so I was just like, you know what, I'll fucking record a video. And so I got a crappy video camera that I had, and I didn't have good lighting at all, but I recorded this video, and it was basically a fuck-filled rant directed towards this library panel.
I like that fuck-filled rant. I like that.
Yeah, it was a fuck-filled rant. And I that's kind of like where I really should have evaluated what I wanted to do. At that point in time, I did not know whatsoever the best way to make a video for YouTube that people actually wanted to watch. And so I pretty much made a video of me cursing at these people and cursing them for, rejecting this money that somebody raised for them.
Right.
And, that the one thing that I would change out of that is not any of the video equipment or anything like that, but that's just my demeanor and how I actually attacked the video or the topic. I wish that I had kind of come out of my more cringy, angry atheist kind of phase before I started to make videos, because at that point I was just like, you know what, fuck it. If people don't like me because I curse, well, fuck them too. And I've since learned that making your videos palpable to a wider audience is going to get it seen a lot more, but also just having fuck-filled rants where you say, and I mean, when I say fuck-filled, I mean it got repetitive in the video. Like it got to the point where it just seemed like I didn't really have anything other to say other than fuck, and I just rephrased the word fuck about 57 times. And
right. Sure.
And so I wish that I had actually like scripted up a video and really had known, the different ways to make a video to where people would actually consume it, because hearing fuck 57 times in different ways is not very consumable. It also doesn't really garner the kind of response that you would hope. Like,
right.
If
that's
you
what
really
I was going to say. Yeah. Like how do you have discourse with that? Right. No, for sure. Keep going.
Yeah. It really doesn't help, in getting to people, communicating to people. people, of course, they agreed with my anger and all of that, and there are some positive comments on there. But I mean, honestly, I know that if I right now, me in my current state, were to come across that video, I probably wouldn't subscribe to that person because they didn't have anything to say about the situation, nothing of substance.
How
And
long
so
ago was this?
let's see, that was probably about 2013 or
Okay.
2015, something like that.
YouTube was a very
Or
different
not
beast.
2015, 2014 or 2013. I can't remember.
Okay.
It might have been 2013.
Yeah, YouTube was a very different beast back then.
Oh yeah, I mean they didn't have the kind of demonetization, which I wasn't even monetized. Like I wasn't getting money at all for that.
And you wouldn't today either. That would be demonetized in a second. What was your first big win as a content creator?
First big win as a content creator.
The first time you felt like, wow, I'm doing a thing that's like catching fire.
Oh yeah. So glad you brought that up. Cause it was this thing called Cosmos Christians.
Okay.
So it was my first video that I thought did really, really well. And I was like, oh, this is a perfect formula here. But I think that it was more because The Amazing Atheist also did a video over the exact same material. Mm-hmm. Basically, when Cosmos first came out, of course, Ken Ham had his big kerfluffle about Cosmos and everything like that. Yep. And so they had these people put up these signs. I don't know if you remember that, or maybe that was the Ken Ham thing. I can't remember. But anyways, when Cosmos came out, him and Meta put out a blog about it, and then a bunch of people responded on Twitter, basically being stupid. And so I made, it was a 5-minute video where I pretty much go through and I make fun of these Christians. And it was a big break at first because I was getting a lot of traffic from TJ Kirk because I put out my video like that night, and then TJ put his video out the next morning. And so everybody, like, I have comments on the video telling me that I just copied off of TJ Kirk and that I copied his content or something like that. Oops. And it's like, how, when I posted this hours before he did? Right. So, but that was the first one that really popped, I guess, because it got about 8,000 views, I think, nearly immediately. And so after that, yeah. Well, and it was because it was Cosmos. It was online. You had him at Meta that was also driving a lot of traffic, and then you also had TJ Kirk who was driving a lot of traffic. And so it just kind of got caught up in the wave. And I didn't have another one that really blew up like that until a couple years ago when I did a flat Earth video where people were responding to Elon Musk shooting one of his Tesla cars into space, with the Falcon Heavy rocket, And so I put that up, and that one has, I think, a little over 800,000 views at this point. Wow. No, it almost 800,000 views is what it has. Yeah, it was crazy. And so that particular video popped way more than I had ever seen any of my videos pop. Mm-hmm. And so, that would be the first time is Cosmos Christians.
Do you ever try to, one of the things that I see, because I watch a lot of the channels that like suggest how creators should grow and that sort of thing. Like Roberto Blake is one that I watch a lot of, Nick Nimmin. One of the things that they talk about is commenting on things you see trending. Do you ever like go into your space, like the Christian apologist space or atheism, whatever it is, and look for trending topics to talk about, or does it just kind of happen by coincidence?
Well, so generally, what I do for like my content creation is um, I don't necessarily go into like Christian spaces to see what they're talking about because they generally talk about all the subjects unless something very specific happens
Right.
in the Christian or the apologetic world, then it doesn't really you don't really have a very specific topic that everybody's just talking about. Like a good example of that would be the Ken Ham versus Bill Nye debate. That one, it had a lot of massive like waves online, and one of the memes that has went the farthest I created exactly for that particular debate, because it's like this cartoon where this little guy in a red sort of a magician's cloak or something like that. Anyways, he's got two hands and it's like magic's pouring out of him. And then what I did was I put Ken Ham's head there for the little magician guy, and he says, "It's magic. I ain't got to explain shit." And I put that on, I put that on Facebook, and everybody loved it, and it got shared a lot. And I still see it pop up every once in a
That's
while.
fantastic.
Yeah. So I mean, like recognizing those kinds of things are good to ride the waves of people searching for that content. Like another thing I do is I very much pay attention to when popular creators or popular people in that particular vertical, whatever vertical you're on. Whenever you see those people post something that you could make some kind of content about, you can generally ride the waves of that particular content. So, like for instance, with William Lane Craig here recently, he posted up a defense of God using mathematics, saying that God is proven by mathematics because mathematics works in general, and that therefore proves God. It's really weird. But in any case, I saw that he put that out, and I was like, oh, I can definitely refute this. And so I quickly wrote up a response to him, and I got it recorded, edited, I put it up, and I mean, it's evergreen content. If anybody out there is familiar with that word, basically it's content that's not reliant on the whatever time frame it exists in.
Like this video, this entire series is evergreen, right? Like this is something that will be relevant in 10 years, right?
Right, exactly. It'll always be relevant. And so it doesn't get views immediately, but over time it gets a lot of views. Right. And like for instance, I got to jump on it this time, but I posted it, and then I noticed directly after me, Rationality Rules, he also did one on that video. And so where that's beneficial to me is that since I posted it first, I'm already in the algorithm, for that particular video. But because Steven has such a larger following than me, he's going to get tons more views than me, obviously.
Sure.
But the benefit is that people that watch his content, that watch it all the way through or watch it for a little bit, doesn't matter. My content will be suggested to them at some point, either right then on that video or later on in the week or the day or whatever like that. So that's the benefit, is getting into somebody's suggested. And that's where targeting like things that popular people are doing, or trendsetters, I guess, in whatever vertical are doing, is that other people will also be talking about them, but other people will also be, looking for responses to it, or looking for people talking about it, or looking for the video in general. That's where the response videos mean something totally different in a different area of YouTube, because response videos in another area of YouTube just means people that pull up a video and watch it, and you watch the video with them, and that's it. Like they don't provide any kind of commentary or anything like that. And that's actually a violation of fair use.
Right.
because you're effectively replacing the value of the original video. Um, but yeah, I would say that I do target what popular people are doing, but it's in a different way than just going into the Christian space and seeing what people are talking about. It's more paying attention to the creators of that community and seeing what they're talking about, and then responding to or talking about the same things that they are.
When you, a big thing on your, especially your live shows are, you've got like these different segments. You've got your funny characters that you do. Brocephus, especially, is one of my favorites. But did you, sorry, did you set out, like, did you sit down one day and say, I need a funny character? Or did Brocephus just come out of the ether somewhere?
Oh, Brocephus definitely kind of came out, I guess, of the ether, because it.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. Brocephus is. I literally just gave that particular kind of attitude a name, being Brocephus, after I forget what country song it was, but it wasn't Brocephus.
It's not a country song. It's Hank Williams Jr. Brocephus.
Oh, Hank Williams Jr. Brocephus, and apparently it's not country.
No, it is country, but it's not the music. It's the artist.
Oh, the artist.
Oh,
isn't
okay.
Anyways, he's got a song where he talks about Brocephus in it, right? And I when I heard that, I was just like, that is the countryest fucking name ever. And so whenever I go into like trying to make fun of my Southern background, because I'm very much a Southern boy, sure. And I've literally heard people talk like Brocephus talk, and I can do it so well because I've been around it. And honestly, the whole hick thing, to me as a Southerner, is just fucking hilarious.
Sure.
And so I really put it on thick, and I gave him the name Brocephus because he's supposed to be kind of like one of those dude bros, but very Christian and very Southern. And so I don't know. I just kind of gave that attitude a name one day. So it did pretty much just pop out of the ether.
When you sit down to script something, is there like, I don't know, do you ever think, oh, I need to add more jokes, or this needs to be funnier and I need to like come up with jokes, or does it just flow?
Usually I just let it flow. I focus whenever I'm writing a script. I'm focused more on like the actual points that they're making and me refuting the points. And then when I script literally the way that I talk. So like if I'm reading through it and I'm like, what the fuck does that even mean? That's literally my first thought whenever I read or I hear something. And so I mean, it's just me, instead of me vocalizing it, I just type it down on Google Docs, and in response to whatever section I'm on. I probably would be funnier if I actually considered like jokes, like to make, like, how can I make this into a joke?
Right.
As I'm writing things, I'll try to think like, well, what's a funny way I can put this? If I'm trying to make it sound coherent and it doesn't just come naturally. But most of the time, the things that I write down are just what come naturally to me. And that's why sometimes I have to get my stuff edited and at least looked at by Casey, because she keeps me grounded as far as like, oh, this doesn't make sense. What are you even trying to say here? And I'm like, it was just supposed to be a joke.
Look here, you moron. Right. It's not like that. I'm kidding, Casey. But no, I totally. That's actually what I wanted to go to next. Is exactly what you and I are doing right here right now. Collaboration. Collaboration, like reaching out. I told everybody, I talk about this all the time. I talk about this in like every video. when I started this channel, I told everybody that this was not an echo chamber. I was not making an echo chamber for them. This is not a celebration of progressivism where we come here and sing kumbaya about how great progressivism is. The idea behind this channel is that our convictions are challenged, our ideas are challenged, our opinions are challenged. We welcome other people into this space who will challenge me, and they might change my mind, or I might change their mind. And so that requires me to collaborate with people that aren't necessarily progressives, right? How can you talk a little bit about why collaboration has been important in your space, and why you think it's a good idea?
Well, I think that there are multiple reasons why it's a good idea. Obviously, collaboration is one of the best ways to grow, especially if you can collaborate with somebody who has a larger following or a more dedicated following. There's a good chance that you'll not only attract some of their viewers to also consume your content, but you also will appear like in suggested next to that creator, because people that watch them can also watch you. And since, there's just all of these different cues that YouTube receives by you doing a collaboration. And then another thing is that it really kind of builds a pretty good bond with people that are in your community or that are creating the same kinds of content as you. And personally, I like that aspect of it more than any kind of potential sub growth or anything like that. Honestly, I really just like, doing a video with somebody that has expertise in something or is passionate about a certain topic, helping them get noticed, having a conversation publicly and all this other stuff. I don't know. To me, the communal aspect of it and the building of relationships between creators is more important for me, because then, that means later on down the road, YouTube can freely work on something else together. And that does also provide more, subscriber growth and everything like that. But also the community aspect of it, the building of relationships, I think is just about as valuable as, building up a sub base.
Sure. And I think it also kind of pushes you outside of your own space a little bit. Like, I remember when we did that video together, and I got to kind of like see how you produced a little bit. I mean, I didn't sit behind you while you edited, but I got to see how you recorded a video. That would have been creepy. Like, Ethan, what are you doing in my home? Nothing. Just keep going. It's fine. But I got to see how you produced, how you did the production of a video from the recording side, which helped me a lot. I was like, oh, there were certain things, and I can't remember what it was off the top of my head, but there were certain things that you were doing, and I was like, oh, I could do that. And then I started to. And I think what's also important is there can be tenuous ties between two content creators, but as long as those ties are there, use them to your own advantage. I love it when my community grows. My community is mainly my Discord server. And this is the next part that I want to get to this, is that if you want to be a successful content creator, especially in 2020 and beyond, you can't just use YouTube for your community. You've got to be on Twitter. You've got to have a Discord. You should probably use Facebook, which I don't because I hate Facebook. And Instagram. Can you talk a little bit about the community aspect and the community building aspect of being a content creator?
Yeah. Are you talking about just like building up your various platforms, or
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, nowadays there's so many different platforms out there. It's kind of hard to it's hard to keep track, but
right.
Building up that sense of community, at least in my vertical, the atheism vertical, it's pretty important, because you're able to reach more people in general. People that are on Instagram are not necessarily the same people that are on Facebook. People that are on Facebook are probably definitely not the people that are on YouTube. I don't know if you've ever tried any kind of Facebook video, but people do not watch shit on Facebook for more than 3 seconds.
I haven't even tried.
But there's varying different groups that consume content very differently on each of these platforms, and building up your community through the different platforms that you can consistently manage, I would say, helps. It helps in getting like any of your content like out there to people, but it also makes people feel a little bit closer to you if they can directly interact with you. And I mean, I don't know, that's what I like the most about like the community aspect of producing content and everything. It's really getting to interact with people, talk with them, be there to help them and give them my input and everything, because there are people that'll message me on Facebook, and just recently I had somebody tell me that he realizes that I'm very busy and I've got this big channel, which I don't really consider it all that big, but I've got this big channel, I'm so busy, and he just appreciates that I'll respond to him in a message and I'll talk to him. And it just really kind of builds that what people think of as a super fan. I know there's a book out there that calls them super fans or whatnot. And really, I just like being the dependable person that people can look to for either answers or guidance, or like if they're having a bad day, they can, they know that they can come and have a lot of laughs watching one of my videos or something like that.
Yeah, I remember when I was, real quick, I want to say this. I remember when I first started, I was intimidated to reach out to, what to me was a huge channel, right? I had 50 subscribers or something. I think less than that. When you found that abortion video of mine and put it out, which thank you again for doing that. It was awesome. And I remember being intimidated to want to reach out to you again for a collaboration. And I think I was really overthinking it. A lot of us content creators just want to make content. And a lot of times we're looking for ideas to create content. And if somebody else reaches out to us like, hey, I have this idea to create some content with you, a lot of times we're like, oh, cool, I don't have to think something up this week. Do you ever get to that same, does that resonate with you, what I'm talking about there?
Yeah. I mean, I have, in the past, I've always been like, oh, well, they wouldn't want to do anything with me or something. And there have been times when I've asked people to do collaborations, like back when Stephen Woodford of Rationality Rules, he had a channel that was growing pretty well, and then for some reason he deleted his Google account, which then deleted his channel and everything like that. So he had to start off fresh, getting back on YouTube, had to start from zero again and everything like that. And so I remember him talking to me, and he was like, I don't know if you even want to do this collaboration now, because you're not really going to get anything from me. Really, I'm going to be siphoning people off of you. And I'm like, it doesn't matter to me, how big or small or anything you are. I'll help you get your subscribers back and everything. Sure. So, I mean, he was smaller than me when he reached out to me. Although now I really don't think that I would be able to collaborate with him, because he's got he's got like a consistency on his channel. He, as far as I can tell, he doesn't really do random collaborations with people or anything like that. Although my collaboration with him is still on his channel. But
I think he would. I think he would if he reached out to him.
You think he would?
I do.
But I do know what you're talking about with being a little intimidated or thinking that somebody won't, because there are plenty of creators out there that I know I used to want to collaborate with or be on a show with. Now I don't really want to, but like at the time, like I was like, yeah, I can never hope to get, you know, somebody like that to collaborate with me. I've generally had like the opinion, I guess, of myself is that I need to be asked to collaborate and not do the asking.
Right.
And so that's generally how I've done it. But there are occasions where I do feel comfortable enough to ask somebody to collaborate, and I've gotten a lot more comfortable with that. And I think that it really kind of depends on what your existing relationship is with that creator, you know, because if you don't have any kind of connection, any kind of relationship with a creator, and you just bust up in their DMs like, hey, you want to collab, yo? I mean, they're not going to know anything about you. They don't really have any kind of like opinion formed about you. They don't, because with the bigger you get, the more you have to really pay attention to who you collaborate with.
Sure.
Because like you collaborate with somebody and then later on they're like, Nazis are cool. And then you're like,
listen. Yes. No, I totally understand. Like I reached out recently, and I'm not trying to call anybody out, so I'm not saying who this is, but I reached out recently to somebody who's not like way bigger channel than mine, and they didn't respond. And I was just inviting them on to what you and I are doing, right? And they didn't respond. Yeah. And I don't think that I think that creator like kind of knows that I exist, but doesn't like know about me, if that makes sense. Like I know that I've been on places that they go and whatever, but we've never had like a direct relationship. So I'm not angry about it or anything, but I remember when I was writing the message, like this person does not know who I am. And here I am inviting them. This person's not going to say yes. And they haven't responded, and that's okay. Like again, it happens. There's lots of creators I've reached out to that didn't respond or just flat out said no. That's another thing you got to get used to in the content creation space, is people telling you no, because it's going to happen a lot. Well, real quick, we've got a super chat I want to get to. Von Helton's children sends a $5 super chat and says, a bit off topic, but can we get a combined pro-lib godless engineer shout out to Kentucky CPS? I think you just did. So thank you for the $5. Can you talk a little bit about, no, I was going to say, can you talk a little bit about Von Helton, but let's not. Unless you want to. But yeah, when you're going over what you want to create, or when you want to create something, like when you sit down, you're like, I need to come up with a video. Do you start with like an idea? Do you start with writing a script? What's that process look like?
It's a very good question. Generally, how things go is that most of my videos that I write a script for and I produce are, you know, video responses. So like I'll see a video or I'll find a video, and it's a video that really kind of strikes me that week or that moment that I'm like, oh yes, I really feel like the creative juices for, you know, reviewing this video or talking about this topic. And so like the first thing I do is, of course, I get the transcript from YouTube and I'll start writing up a script and everything like that. But it's generally me searching for specifically like atheism or some kind of evolution or creationist kind of video. I'll search for that and I'll see if there's something that I can find for it. It really depends on what I'm in the mood for, really.
Right.
That I find a video, unless. So that's one way that I do it. Another way that I do it is if a video just sort of comes up out of the blue and I'm like, oh yes, I can refute this. And that's happened like with the William Lane Craig mathematics video. Kind of just came up out of the blue and I was like, gosh, I can get the jump on this. Nobody else is doing it yet, so I'll be the first one out there with it. I had the same, another big video that went pretty viral. Right now it's over 100,000 views. There was this documentary called Behind the Curve, right? Mm-hmm. where it's talking about the flat Earth movement in modern times and everything like that.
Mhm.
And so I actually talked with the creators of the documentary and asked them like how much of the documentary can I have in there? Can I have still pictures and all this other stuff? And so I was sick at the time. And so it was like really bad time for me to be sick. But I produced that and it went like nowhere at first. But then when everybody else started doing it, my video really popped hard. And so everybody started consuming it. But that's another instance of something just sort of popping up out of the blue, and me sort of getting the jump on it, going ahead and making a video about it. So that's the second way that it comes about. Another way is that somebody will bring a video to my attention, and I'll be like, yeah, I can refute this kind of thing, and so I'll do it that way. And then a fourth way is that part of the Skeptic Mafia perks for my channel is that they get to pick a video. So I'll just pick 3 videos that I'm really feeling at that moment, and I'll propose it to them, and then they get to pick. And
do you do them live, or do you like pre-record it and then cut it up?
No, the ones that the Skeptic Mafia picks, so those are live streamed. So
Okay.
all the ones on Fridays, all the live streams on Fridays are definitely just me off the cuff, talking about it. And so generally that's like the Skeptic Mafia picking a video, unless there's a very specific video that I want to talk about or a topic that I want to talk about. That's how I do it. And then I guess another way is writing just like little video essays, which I've kind of got a couple of those in the works right now. Those typically don't do too well because I've done something like that before on my channel and it hasn't really done all that well. But I'm considering doing it a little bit more, so I'm trying that out.
Where did you come up with? I'll tell you what. Hold on, real quick. I got to tell you something. So when my channel hit 1,000 subscribers and I got monetized, they then added on memberships, channel memberships. Like I've got the blue join button, whatever. And I remember when the first time I heard Skeptic Mafia, I was like, that is the greatest name for a community. And I'm like, yeah, you're here, and so I'm kissing your ass, whatever. But seriously, Skeptic Mafia is so good. And I was trying to think of what I wanted to call my members when the membership got turned on. I was like, what? Okay, Skeptic Mafia. And so I was like starting with Skeptic Mafia, trying to like think of like, okay, could I be like, maybe we're like the political organization. No, that's terrible. God, that sucks. So I want to let you know that now we're the bot army now because it's a joke that somebody alleged that we all have sock accounts or so. I forget what the allegation was, but that we all had a bot army. So I was like, well, fuck it. I'll just build a bot army and you can click the blue join button and join the bot army. How did Skeptic Mafia start? Like, what's that from?
So that's a very, I guess, funny story. So there used to be a channel and a quote unquote organization called I'm so glad that I've forgotten what it's called. Well, okay. Well, it became Red Pill Religion, but it started off as something atheism, defeating atheism. Well, deflating atheism is a different person.
Sure.
Escaping atheism. I got there.
Okay.
It was Dean Meadows. He is a prolific kind of person that is notoriously hateful and is unapologetic about it, especially towards atheists. And so I caught a stream that he and Deflating Atheism did, and on it he has this really far out conspiracy theory that there's a secret underground Skeptic Mafia that has a black market for paying people to downvote videos and also leave shitty comments on their videos. And he talks about how these people are funded by rich people or something. I don't know. Like I've got 2 or 3 videos on my channel where I kind of dissect and I go through like all of his all of his rhetoric surrounding it. And so when I got the ability to have memberships, I was like, shit, memberships. I don't know what I'm going to call you guys. We'll figure it out later. And then later on, I was like, fuck it, Skeptic Mafia. You guys are the
so
Skeptic
awesome.
Mafia. And because it was because of Dean Meadows and his crazy conspiracy theory that we became the Skeptic Mafia. It's just in the same vein as your bot army.
Mhm.
That's exactly how mine came about too. And I have
That
to
is so
bot
funny.
army is a great name for the
Thank you.
community.
Thank you. And they're all fantastic. And my bot army is wonderful. They follow me like I go on other people's channels and the whole bot army shows up. It's great. You guys, I love you guys. Franklin, sorry, I'm being pestered for pets. Oh, what was I going to ask you? I had one last question. I don't remember what it was. How are you holding up under COVID? How about that?
Well, we're doing all right. I mean, we were already pretty much homebodies, and so us being able to stay at home and work from home is really good for us. I mean, it sucks that we can't like go out to like a nice restaurant, and we can't like go on vacation technically.
Right.
Those things kind of suck, but at the same time, I mean, the only hardship really has been KC having a desk. And yeah, she doesn't have a desk here, and so she has to transition from the floor to the couch, back to the floor and so she has to transition all over the place in order to be comfortable while she works. But we recently got one of those sort of like a small table that she can kind of sit at, and so that's really worked well.
Good.
But I mean, other than that, I mean, everything else has we don't really need to go outside for anything. So generally, once or twice a week, late in the afternoon, we'll start to walk outside, and then we'll hiss because of the sunlight.
Right. Your inner vampire comes out. Sinister Porpoise sends a $5 super chat. Thank you, Sinister Porpoise, and says, Godless Engineer once read a Mormon pamphlet about self-pleasure on my channel in a Southern preacher voice. It was awesome. Quote, to young men only? What is this?
Well, yeah. So the brochure was, if I remember correctly, which it's been a little bit since I've.
Was it called "Don't Fiddle with Your Piddle"?
It might as well have been called that, but yeah, it was that was a really good time. I had a lot of fun with that. I love reading like dumb religious things.
Yes.
In my Southern voice, because I think it puts it in the correct context as far as like, IQ level.
Right. Yeah, I love it when you do. I've always found that shit funny. And Sinister Porpoise is one of my favorites. So, and part of the bot army actually. She is in the bot army. So, well, listen. Thank you for being here. This has been absolutely fantastic. And we're gonna do more stuff. We got to do more stuff together.
Definitely.
We keep saying that we're going to, and then we don't. So we got to.
Well, I mean, don't be afraid to ask me either if you need help with anything.
Sure.
I usually try to leave myself very open to everybody.
Yeah.
And I try to do like collaborative efforts whenever I can. I try to help people out as much as I can, and I want everybody out there that is watching this now or in the future to know that you can always message me. I believe my messages are open on Twitter, but they're also open on Facebook and pretty much wherever you can find me. I'm pretty open, to helping people out. And even if I can't collaborate at that point in time or something else, I generally will provide you with some good information, or I'll try to help you out in some other way.
For sure. Same here. I'm going on Quentin's Quentin Phipps' Twitter channel, or not Twitter channel. Oh my God, Twitch channel on Saturday. And I don't.
Okay.
I like when I was a smaller creator, people like you did things for me, and so I'm trying to do the same thing now that I'm not big. I'm still a small channel, but I'm a little bit not as small anymore.
Well, yeah, I mean, relatively speaking, I'm still considered a small channel.
Right?
I mean,
Sure, absolutely. I mean, we can't all be PewDiePie, and Linus Tech Tips, right?
Well, I mean, Telltale Atheist, he's about to get to 200,000 subscribers.
He deserves it though. He's so good.
Yeah, Vice Rhino, he's shooting on up there. Paula Gia, I mean, he's rocketing up there too.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, all these people are great.
I wish I was an atheist so that I could do all this atheist stuff. Sucks. I'll just have to have Ocean on. I just have to have Ocean on more. Listen, GE, thank you for being here. I appreciate you, and give KC my best. Guys, Bot Army, thank you for being here. And Batsy, everybody put a B in the chat for Batsy, because Batsy does everything behind the scenes here. She's our head mod, and she puts all your messages up on the screen, and she creates 95% of the art, and she's fantastic, and we all adore her. G, thank you again. Thanks for being here, man.
Oh, no problem, man. I'm so glad to be here on your channel. I'm so glad that you're doing so well on your channel here. It's pretty awesome to see people growing and doing a lot of things with their activism and stuff.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you. Yeah, and that's not stopping anytime soon. So, guys, thank you for watching, and we will see you all next time. Good night, everybody.